living it up. We're living that good life. We're living with Jimmy B. We're living it up. We're living that good life. We're living with Jimmy B.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Living with Jimmy B. I'm about to get it in. I got me some Mediterranean cuisine. And I have a salad over here on the side, and I'm about to make it do what it do. I've seen the African videos, the African food videos, and I've seen them doing them, and I'm not gonna make a fool out of myself and try to talk about what this food is. So when I purchased the food from Ali in my neighborhood, I asked him about what it was that I was purchasing, and I was fortunate enough to be able to find the food in my neighborhood. And, I'm going to let Ali tell y'all what this food is. Holla. So I am here at Sam's Tasty, Fast, and Good. And I am speaking with Ali. He's the owner. And he specializes in Iraqi, Mediterranean
food, yeah.
Mediterranean food. And can you just show me what I ordered?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Here is everything here. Let's see. My mask face. Yeah. He ordered mix, Middle East mix. It's chicken kebab and a lamb kebab and chicken wings, but we do it a barbecue style and our charcoal grill. And in the bottom is the rice. It's a specific flavor. It's Middle Eastern flavor. You won't miss this, please. Whoever see this video, please share it and like it. And like our food, please. I think you like it. I believe so. Also, it's come with a Middle East salad. It's with a specific stuff. Something we call it samag in Arabic, and some dried mint and all mix other stuff. As you see in the bottom, there is some vinegar and olive oil and lemon juice.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and
it's delicious.
Yeah, it's delicious. For me, it's my favorite, and my favorite is lamb kebab because I grew up in Iraq. My back home, my mom used to do this kebab for us. I was 7 years old. I remember everything, how we burn the charcoal, and she used to do all this stuff for us. And now I would like American people share our food and like it and taste the flavor of Middle Eastern.
Yes. And how long have you been in the States?
Less than 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah, it's a short time. As you see, my broken English, but I believe I'm doing good.
You're doing well.
Understand my English? I try to learn.
Very, very good.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you for sharing with us. And he is located on Allen Street here in Buffalo.
69 Allen Street. It's come between Delaware and Main Street.
Yes. And so I'm excited to try it, and I can't wait to get home. And thank you for the wonderful service.
Yeah. Don't forget the Middle Eastern tea is with the cardamom flavor.
Wonderful. And he even offered me free beverages. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Middle Eastern should be generous, even in his business.
Well, I appreciate that, and
Yeah,
I
you're very
definitely,
welcome. I appreciate your business. I appreciate you stopping by here, and I hope you like it, man.
I'm sure I will. It looks delicious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified each time I post another video. So I have the food here, and you know, it is a fusion. Let's say grace. Dear Lord, we thank you for food in a world where people hunger. We thank you for friends in a world where people walk alone. We thank you for your grace and your mercy in the name of Jesus. Amen. You know, it is a fusion of different foods because it's got my chicken wings over here from Western New York. And Ali says that it's, you know, his charcoal barbecue. Which I wouldn't have it any other way. I like my charcoal barbecue. So, I've talked in the past about my career as a public affairs specialist in the military. So I've traveled extensively throughout Africa. And as my homegirl, my new friend from Nigeria pointed out, there's like 53 states, countries in Africa. So if you're going to say you're having African food, like, that's not narrow enough a statement because there's a lot of different places in Africa. If you've been there, like I have, you know there's a lot of places to go. And a lot of different cuisines. So, like, a lot of the videos have been on Nigerian, West African cuisine, and that's fine, but just say it as it is. It's West African, specifically in West Africa, Nigerian, because there's other West African tribes. There's over 50 countries in Africa. So, you know, it's an opportunity for African Americans to get educated on their heritage. A little trivia is West Nigerians are actually the descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses. So they are one of the original tribes of Judah. A lot of people, when you talk about the original tribes of Judah, that's one of them. This is really good. I haven't had an opportunity to travel extensively to West Africa. It's a huge continent. So it's impossible to know everything about everybody. But I think doing these videos are really great because it opens us up. It opens us up to our culture, to our heritage, in so many different ways. And I'm really happy about that. There were some videos that went viral that were negative, and some people didn't really embrace it, and that's fine. I mean, I blame that on ignorance. Because we brought a lot of our culture from Africa. And the reality is many of us represent what came over here and what was already here. The Black Native American, and thousands of years, at least 1,000 years before the transatlantic slave trade, the Moors were over here.
Why was it that in the Americas, popular history, folk history, typically said that there was a pre-Columbian African and Asian presence in the Americas? Others even talked about the ancient Hebrew people being here. In fact, that's one of the foundations of the Mormon Church, is that some of the the writings in the Book of Mormon suggest that there was a Hebrew presence as some of the Hebrew people left and came to the Americas. But they also say there was an Egyptian link, because they talk about aspects of Egyptian culture being there as well. And some people make fun of the Mormons, but the fact is, I give them credit for at least recognizing those two major truths. And it's also interesting to me that the name is Mormon because Mormon was Old Dutch for more, or Old German for more, right? And the angel Moroni, right? The angel Mormon and the angel Moroni, or Moroni. So what I'm saying is there's enough evidence in different places, if people were willing to look, indicating that there clearly was a pre-Columbian African and Asian presence in the Americas, that you can find the remnants of that in language, in artifacts, in cultural practices, in primary sources coming even from Spanish and Portuguese and English and French explorers.
So, I know personally that I'm part Seminole. Seminoles are part African, but they represent a part of Africa that were perhaps over here before the slave trade. So we have to elevate ourselves and know about our culture. And we have a rich culture, and ancestry DNA is not going to tell us when we came over here. It's going to tell us that where we're from, but it's not going to tell us when we got over here. African Americans were, West Africans were exploring the world over 1,000 years before world exploration was known.
You may have heard of Mansa Musa, one of the richest men to have ever lived, the king of Mali who lined his path to Mecca with gold and put his kingdom on the map, literally. But have you heard about the one who made him king? Before Mansa Musa, there was Mansa Abu Bakr II. He was Mansa Musa's brother and king of the Mali Empire. So how did Musa become king? On his legendary journey from Mali to Mecca, Mansa Musa crossed paths with Damascene historian Shihab al-Umari and told him how. The monarch who preceded me would not believe that it was impossible to discover the limits of the neighbouring sea. He wished to know, he persisted in his plan. Mansa Abu Bakr II was an avid traveller and had roamed all around his vast empire before yearning to discover what lay beyond the Atlantic. So he called on engineers of the Lake Chad to build ships so he could launch a fleet across the ocean. He hired a crew of sailors, traders, builders, artists, warriors and learned men, and supplied them with enough rations to last 2 years. He told them not to return until they reached the end of the ocean or until they had run out of food and water. But after a lone captain and only one of the ships from the 200 he had sent returned to Mali, claiming that the other ships had been pulled into a current and disappeared, Mansa Abu Bakr II began to prepare a fleet once more. But this time, the brave and adventurous king decided to make the journey himself in 1311, almost 200 years before Columbus set foot on American shores. Just as Mansa Musa's journey to Hajj was legendary, so was his brother's journey across the Atlantic. A great leader, Mansa Abu Bakr II travelled with his men on 1,000 ships and sent a further 1,000 ships with supplies, trade materials, crops and animals, and of course gold, which was abundant in his kingdom. So did Mansa Abu Bakr II arrive in the Americas? We may never know, but there are many signs that West African Muslims did. Some of the strongest evidence comes from the pen of Columbus himself, who wrote in his journal that Native Americans confirmed black-skinned people had come from the southeast in boats, trading in gold-tipped spears. Not only were these spearheads described as guanine by Native Americans, which was the Mandinkan word for gold, the language of the Mali Empire, but chemical analysis of those spearheads found that the gold most likely originated from West Africa. Columbus and his son also found that Native Americans had handkerchiefs like those used in West Africa, and clothes similar to the Muslim Moors of Spain. Whether or not Mansa Abu Bakr II himself made it to the lands beyond the Atlantic, we cannot deny that this courageous ruler of one of the richest and largest empires on earth gave up wealth and power in pursuit of knowledge and discovery. His determination to reach the Americas could very well mean that West Africa's relationship with the Americas did not begin with slavery, but with sailors, explorers, and kings.
So, the Native Americans had African ancestry before the transatlantic slave trade. So if I go on Ancestry DNA and they tell me that I'm part Nigerian, that's not going to tell me when I came over here. That's not going to tell me that my ancestors came over here subsequent to slavery. We were already over here. We had navigating systems that were sophisticated beyond anything of that era. And the North and the South regions of the Kingdom of Egypt have indicated to us that not only were they divided by the North and the South regions, but the South regions were predominantly West African, and the northern parts, which bordered Spain, were lighter complexions.
Kingdoms and tribes with origins in Libya, Syria, and Turkey were constantly fighting against Egypt. But there were a people whose tenacity and courage frightened even the powerful Egyptians. The Nubians were an African people who lived in the Nubia region in today's Sudan. The Nubian people have been living in that region for a long time. By 3100 BC, there would be Nubian villages along the River Nile. The Nubia was a region rich in gold veins, semi-precious stones, ebony wood, incense, and ivory. This wide range of resources encouraged the Egyptians to invade that region in search of extremely useful raw materials. The Nubians resisted the Egyptian invasions as much as possible, but they were militarily inferior and were progressively pushed south. Due to the various periods of instability in Egypt, the Nubians were able to organize more effective defenses. During periods of peace, Nubians and Egyptians traded and shared different forms of knowledge. During the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose I, the Nubians were part of the Egyptian Empire, but that dominion quickly collapsed, and the Nubians established a unified kingdom, with Napata as its capital. The Nubians thus founded the Kingdom of Kush, which would become a respected African power. The term Kushite kingdom comes from the Egyptians, who called the Nubian Kush. The founder of this new kingdom was a tribal leader named Alara, who became king of all the Nubians. With the Kushite kingdom established, the next step was to ensure its defense and economy. For this, Alara's successors reigned successfully, strengthening the kingdom and expanding their domains. The Kushites began to trade with Egypt through the Nile. They also established contact with the Arab kingdoms such as Nabatea and Sheba. The riches of the Kushites were extremely popular. Over time, and due to the periods of instability in Egypt, the Kushites started to conquer Egyptian cities, including the city of Thebes. At the height of their power, under the command of King Paye, Egypt was fully conquered by the Kushites. King Paye declared himself the champion at the command of the god Amon. He joined his army, warred for over a year against several Egyptians, defeating everyone in his path. The phase of the Kushite and Egyptian history took place during the Third Intermediate Period of ancient Egypt, which began around the year 1070 BC. It is a period also historically known as the Nubian dynasty. The coexistence between Egyptians and Nubians originated marriages between the nobility of the two kingdoms. Both cultures influenced each other in religious and social matters.
So, it's too much for me to go through in this video, but in my career as a journalist, I've traveled a lot of Africa, but Africa is a big place. It's big. It's a continent, you know, and it covers a large region. So, I've been to North Africa, I've been to the Middle East, and I've not been to West Africa, but I know that I collect a lot of Egyptian art, and a lot of the art was, a lot of the soldiers were West African in the Kingdom of Egypt. They were black men. They invaded Rome. They explored the world. They had night navigation systems. They could map the stars. And these are facts that you can look up. And this is, you know, why it's so important for us to know our history for ourselves. I mean, Ancestry.com is a joke, in my opinion. I mean, I can trace my roots back hundreds of years, from the Congos, you know, Seminole Native Americans. I mean, I consider myself fortunate, but at the same time, it's like, okay, like, we need to stop watering down our culture. As one of my sisters said, there's 53 countries in Africa. Over 50. So a lot of these videos have been a Nigerian food. And coincidentally, a little trivia is, did you know that the Nigerians are the descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses? So they're one of the tribes of Judah. I mean, that's a lot of knowledge. And this can be proven through DNA. I mean, I don't need to drag anybody for disliking West African food, because that's been done.
I never really watched fufu mukbang, how they be doing on like TikToks and stuff, or eating it on
I
TikTok
hate
or
when they
whatever.
be slapping it.
That's what we got. That's what they do. They be slapping it.
Yeah, they be slapping it.
Right.
Oh my god. Let's smell it. It just smells like potatoes.
Smack it like that.
No, you beat it. Babe, you're beating on it. Ooh.
It's like a titty almost. It's like a titty. Oh.
It's potatoes. All right, ready? Set, go.
She don't want to eat it. This is what you wanted. You wanted this. Where are you going? No, eat it. No, you have to eat it. No, you have to eat it. You have to eat it. You of all people have to eat it. No, eat it. Swallow. No way. She was fiending for this. I told her this shit don't taste good. I told her it don't taste good. I don't like it. I never had it before. I just know I wasn't gonna like it. I'm gonna give it 1,000. Personally, this is my personal opinion.
But when you know your race, when you know your culture, you would never dog your culture. Oh boy, I'm full. And I thank Ali for being a gracious host and sharing this wonderful food with me. I hope you will subscribe to my channel, because we have to elevate one another. I mean, I don't think that we do things begrudgingly. I think we do things out of ignorance, and, when someone says they're going to do a video on African food, it's like, okay, like, I've been to Africa 3 times, and I've not been to West Africa and to Nigeria. I have Nigerian friends. Like, they're great people. I love them. And we share different cuisines, but to say I'm going to do West African food and to just, okay, I'm doing African food and it's West African, so somehow I'm giving the impression that this food is what everybody eats in Africa. Like, that's naivete. Like, there's Ethiopian, there's Mediterranean, which is what I have here, Mediterranean. The gentleman that I got it from, He's Iraqi. That's in Africa. You know, so there's, you know, many different types of cuisine, many regions. We gotta, you know, hopefully this will not turn out to be a bad thing. We can continue to explore cultures within our culture. You know, as I mentioned, my family, you know, part of my family is from the Congos. Part of my family are Moors that came over 1,000 years prior to the transatlantic slave trade. And so I'm part Seminole, Native American, and they are Black people. They're Black Native Americans who were here before the slave trade. I mean, we do ourselves a disservice when we oversimplify a culture. We are not a simple people. We're not. And it might make it easier for other people to put us into categories, but we don't neatly fit. So, oh, this food is good. It's good. Ali, thank you for sharing this dish with me. And obviously I couldn't eat it all, but I ate all the chicken wings. I did a pilgrimage in the Middle East, and I haven't spent a lot of time in West Africa, but West Africa is just up the Nile. So I did get a chance to meet some West Africans, and we're all brothers and sisters. I have Sudanese brothers. You know, we're diverse, and it may make things easier for other cultures to just put us in one box. It's just easier. They're Black. But it's not that simple. We have different foods that we eat. We look different. We have different looks. We have different hair textures. We're not all 4C hair. You know, it's hard dealing with people who put us in a box. It's really hard. It makes me very reclusive. You know, when I have a diverse cultural background, and then people say to me, oh, well, what are you? I represent what came over here, what was already here, what came from over here, and what came from over there. You know, I think we all do, whether we want to admit it or not. But hopefully this video will enlighten some people. Please like, share, subscribe. And I want to see my channel grow. I want to see my channel grow. So please hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Because I'm always informative. Always dropping knowledge. I'm 49 years old. And I still look good. And I'm just, dropping knowledge and, hopefully encourage me. And I'll drop more knowledge about what it is to be Black in America and how we can't rely on people to tell us who we are. We have to know who we are. We can't go to school and learn it. Ain't nobody gonna teach it to us. We got to take our initiative and learn it for ourselves. Because let me tell you, we have a diverse culture. And it's coming from the tribes of Judah, the brother of Moses, Aaron. It's coming from Ethiopia, who, from what I understand, still has the Ark of the Covenant. And, we can get into the word, I have a master's degree in theology, so I've studied these things. So I'm not just spitting knowledge without any backing to it. I'm working on my doctorate in education. I'm the real deal. So let's get it in. Let's learn about ourselves and make it do what it do. Holla.